Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan Cameron back with another update video today on our thesis of the biggest blow off top in crypto history, followed by the biggest bubble pop in crypto history. All right, let's get it today. Did you guys fall for it? Did you guys fall for the pullback over the last few days that we discussed? About a week and a half ago, we discussed, hey, Bitcoin has hit its most important resistance, the obvious resistance at the previous all-time high. We had altcoins hit our 2021 resistance right here at about 730 billion. Are you going to fall for the pullback, or are you not going to fall for the pullback? And I think many people have fall for the short-term pullback and have forgotten the bigger picture that we've been discussing on the channel and why we think that we're going to get the biggest blow-off top in crypto history. So we're going to discuss that today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smack that like button, smack the subscribe button. You guys have been absolutely killing it. Let's get to 100K subscribers by the end of 2025. Should be pretty easy. Thanks for helping me, guys. All right, so let's talk about it today. So for everyone new to the channel, just to kind of go over our thesis here, we're going to go over everything today, and we're going to kind of go over our thesis very deeply today. So if you enjoy kind of a longer video, let me know in the comment section if you enjoy a longer video. So just for everyone who kind of forgets our thesis, or maybe is new to the channel, this is the first time you're coming to the channel, let's discuss our thesis real quick, and let's discuss why we were kind of expecting a short-term pullback, and why it doesn't really matter in the bigger picture, and why you need to continue to be zoomed out and really focus up over the next 6 months and the last 6 months of the 4-year cycle, guys. All right, so let's jump on in. So our thesis here on the channel is that we're going to see the total market cap of crypto get a huge blow off top up to the 4236 Fibonacci level, and up to the top of this big rising wedge. Ultimately, before we see this big bubble pop and a breakdown of this big, basically, we're talking about a 7-year rising wedge, a big bubble pop where most altcoins go to zero, and only the strong things survive before we go on to the real crypto bull run. And it's basically going to be akin to the dot-com bubble or the tech bubble in the early 2000s, where this is the first cycle where we're going to actually start to see institutions and things of that nature really start to believe in Bitcoin, and really start to believe in some altcoins, and people are going to front run the actual use case. And I think that's what's going to cause this massive euphoria over the next 6 months. But ultimately, it's going to be a little bit too early, and we're going to have to see a lot of things pop and a lot of things go to zero, and a lot of that sentiment destroyed before we go on to the real bull run. Kind of like how the tech bubble did it in the early 2000s, where we saw massive gains in internet stocks, tech stocks, think your Amazons, your Apples, things of that nature. But ultimately, a lot of those things went down 99% in the early 2000s before they went into the true bull run over the last 25 years. And that's what I think we're about to see for the cryptocurrency market. Just to kind of discuss our backdrop of the sort of reasoning of our thesis. Now, let's stick to the charts, right? We have our reasoning. Let's stick to the charts. Ultimately, why we're expecting the 4236 Fibonacci is, ultimately, I'm looking at this as one big rising wedge. And if you know anything about typical TA, well, you're going to say, okay, a rising wedge is a bearish pattern, but ultimately what you expect is 3 major touch points on the top of the rising wedge. So obviously right now, the 2017 high, we had 1 touch. In the 2021 highs, we had 2 touches here on the total market cap. What I'm expecting is, over the course of the next 6 months, obviously we have our 4-year cycle. Right, our 4-year cycle typically ends at the end of the 4th year. What I'm expecting over the next 6 months is a massive euphoric push up to that 4236 Fibonacci level. And if we kind of look where everything kind of coincides, October to December, that puts us right up here in the 4236 Fibonacci and also the top of that rising wedge. So a lot of confluence, a lot of things that would meet up in that area. And we're going to discuss, not just on a simple chart like this. Obviously this is nothing to take. We can't just say that's going to happen just because we have one chart that has some confluence. I'm going to show you guys, also why on the our stablecoin dominance chart, why we expect that to happen. And also we're going to show it on our Bitcoin, obviously global liquidity chart, and why we expect that to happen, and a couple different other reasons why as well. So what we're expecting here is, obviously from those March lows, April lows, we remain bullish, and we said the tariffs are such a stupid narrative and why you have to stay bullish as long as Bitcoin stays above the 50 moving average band, because in every previous 4-year cycle, as long as Bitcoin stayed above the 50 moving average band on a weekly close, you wanted to be bullish at that 50 moving average band. So obviously from there, we have moved up. We've seen Bitcoin make a new high, and I think it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin breaks into new all-time highs and stays above there, and we start to see the total market cap chart break into new all-time highs and stay above there. Now, here's where we are. Okay, why are we expecting this, right? We're going to talk all about the thesis before we get into the short-term stuff, guys, because I think this short-term pullback is about over and we're about to start to rise again. But let's discuss a couple different things. So why do we expect that? Well, if we come over here on our simple stablecoin dominance chart, what we're expecting is, and what we expected from this April top on the stablecoin dominance chart, we know the stablecoin dominance is inversely correlated to the total market cap chart or the Bitcoin chart, right? If stablecoin dominance goes up, Bitcoin goes down, right? If stablecoin dominance goes down, Bitcoin goes up. So obviously during this January to April pullback, we saw the stablecoin dominance come back up to the top of this 3-year range. And if you look at every single time we've come up to this 8 to 9% level on stablecoin dominance, we've seen a pretty swift move back to the downside on stablecoin dominance. Now, what we're expecting here is stablecoin dominance to come all the way back down to the bottom of the range, if not make new lows. Okay, and you guys can see that we're about halfway, at least to the bottom of the range. So what I'm expecting is if this is going to continue down, simply back down to the bottom of the range, then that is going to be the inverse move. That's going to get total market cap into new all-time highs and that euphoric price action that I'm looking for over the next 6 months for the cryptocurrency market, okay? Now, ultimately, what I expect this to be is that this is going to come back down to range lows and possibly even break into new slight lows, possibly down to this 3.5% level right here from November 2021. That's also where Bitcoin topped last cycle. I do think that this is going to push up after that, and that move is going to be the bubble pop move back down here into 2026, 2027. Okay, typical bear market, probably a little bit of an extended bear market this time because I do think it's going to be a bigger bear market after this cycle is over. Okay, and ultimately it's going to be this big push up, and this is going to be one giant Wyckoff accumulation schematic, which is 1, 2, and 3 hits to the downside, a new low formed, and then that massive spring phase that gets you up here, which would be the bubble pop down for the cryptocurrency market. Okay, so that's what we're expecting on stablecoin dominance. We're only halfway to the bottom of the range. I am expecting this to at least come back down to the bottom of the range, and that's why I'm expecting Bitcoin to go higher. That's why I'm expecting select altcoins, not every altcoin, but select altcoins, especially utility coins, to make new highs over the next 6 months. Okay, and that's on the stablecoin dominance chart. All right, so we're only halfway to the bottom of the range. Let's go, okay? And also we have, everyone and their mother's talking about this, but it just adds some confluence, right? This is nothing new talking about this. The global liquidity chart, and you guys can see that global liquidity continues to push higher, and we got some room to run, right? We got some room to run. This is not going to show you exact time frames. This is not going to show you when things are going to pump, but the general direction, we expect Bitcoin to follow global liquidity because it's done it really for a long time. Okay, it's followed this for a long time. We can all go back to January 2024, almost a year and a half. You guys can see the global liquidity goes up, Bitcoin goes up, global liquidity goes down, Bitcoin goes down, global liquidity goes up, Bitcoin goes up, global liquidity goes down, Bitcoin goes down, global liquidity goes up, and we're expecting that Bitcoin is going to continue up, which is going to drag up the altcoin market with it, especially when Bitcoin breaks into new highs, because if we look at the past, when we look at these candles right here, November 4th, 2024, this big weekly candle that finally got Bitcoin breaking into all-time highs officially and holding was the exact candle right here where you started to see the altcoin market go parabolic and go on about 134% run to the upside for total 3, right? So when Bitcoin officially breaks into all-time highs and holds above there is when we're expecting the altcoin market to take over, right? And for Bitcoin to still go up, but for the altcoin market to start outpacing Bitcoin. But until Bitcoin does break into those new all-time highs and hold above, I'm still expecting Bitcoin to be the leader of this total market cap move, okay? So global liquidity continues up. You can actually see that, on a 2-month lag, global liquidity actually also did a pullback right around this time. And if you guys can see, if we kind of overlay this right here, you can see global liquidity had a small little pullback. And I'm expecting over the next few weeks that Bitcoin is about to get a massive, and I mean massive, impulse to the upside, not a small one. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Bitcoin push to 120, 130K over the next few weeks, and the altcoin market absolutely go insane, especially Ethereum, because I think Ethereum is showing absolutely insane strength at the moment. It's not even getting a sniff of a pullback as Bitcoin pulls back about 10%. Ethereum holding up strong. If we actually look at the Ethereum chart, ETH is just holding up in the same range over the course of the next few months. And we talked about what we're watching for Ethereum, which I believe that if we're going to see this total market cap push up to 10 trillion, Ethereum's got to be a big part of that, right? It can't all be Bitcoin. You got to get Ethereum starting to move up too. And we talked about as soon as ETH can break above this previous support line here and flip it back into support. Right now, you can see it is acting as resistance. If we can get back above there for ETH, I think it's going to be an absolute moonshot straight up to 4,000 and higher if you can get ETH to reclaim back above there. But we're still fighting for it until we see it. Obviously, we got to keep our eyes open, but, I think that's going to be the real catalyst for the altcoin market, and it's going to be the exact time where you do see Bitcoin get into new all-time highs and hold above all-time highs. I think it's going to be the exact time that you see ETH reclaim back above this trend line. This is going to be a false breakdown, and you're going to see ETH absolutely explode to the upside into new all-time highs pretty freaking quickly. I don't think it's going to take very long, as we only have 6 months left in this 4-year cycle. If the 4-year cycles are going to repeat, which there's no reason to think they won't, because they have every single cycle, right? So that's our 2 reasons, right? Stablecoin dominance pushing back to the range lows, global liquidity continuing up, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about the short term, right? And why this pullback was probably needed, why we talked about it a week and a half ago, why it was likely, and why I think it's somewhat over, okay? So you guys can see that, obviously, Bitcoin, not a massive pullback. We saw Bitcoin with about a 10% pullback, right? Now, what I think is kind of funny is we got Bitcoin at 105K now. I hope you didn't fall for that pullback, guys. We've retraced from 100K all the way back to 105K. Now we're, approximately only about 6% away from all-time highs, right? Just like that. Now, pullback on Bitcoin. What I love about this pullback, and we talked about it in the last video, is what I want to see for Bitcoin is one last push lower. We talked about this on Wednesday. We did get Bitcoin with that one more push lower here over the last 3 days. And guess what? What do we want to see? We wanted to see the fear and greed index push into fear. And we actually had the fear and greed index push into a 45. And we had fear on Bitcoin above 100K. I never thought I'd hear that this cycle, but there is fear in the market with Bitcoin above 100K. Absolutely insane. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the fear and greed index push into fear on this pullback. Now, could we go a little bit, could we come back down and retest the lows and we go a little bit lower on the fear and greed index? I actually think that would be more ideal. I don't know if we'll get that because we already did get into fear. But if we look at our last breakout, right under here, when we pushed into fear, we actually pushed in there twice, okay? And we wanted to see fear before the true breakout. You guys can see that we have this trend line. Could we push into fear one more time? Yes, but ultimately we did hit our goal of fear, and I wouldn't expect Bitcoin to go much lower from this point. I do think, somewhere in the high 90s to this 100K level is probably the lowest that we go. I don't think we go much lower than that, especially if we're in fear on this typical pullback, right? So check mark, we got fear above 100K, absolutely insane. Never thought I'd hear that. Which is freaking amazing. Okay, so that's perfect in the short term. And honestly, our thesis, guys, still looks freaking fantastic. It still looks freaking fantastic. We have pessimism, we have fear, and we have uncertainty and doubt with Bitcoin at 105K. That is absolutely what we want to see. And I think this is just going to be the catalytic for this altcoin market and the total market cap to continue to climb the wall of worry. Okay. And once again, I'll say the altcoins haven't even started moving yet. And I don't think they really start to move until we get a weekly candle close on Bitcoin into new all-time highs. And that's when you're really going to see the altcoin market start to move, okay? Now, on this little pullback, you've gotten fantastic opportunities. If you missed this first impulse up on Bitcoin and the altcoins, this little pullback here on Bitcoin was the perfect opportunity to add, okay? Perfect opportunity. I don't want to hear anyone say they didn't have a chance to get in. I don't want to hear it, okay? And those same people that didn't have a chance to get in, the same people that were too scared to buy during the tariff fear, were probably too scared to buy during this whole Elon and Trump saga, okay? And I think those people are going to be the ones that are buying up here at the highs. Those same ones here that are pessimistic are going to be the same ones again, just like 2021, saying crypto will change the world. Up here at the 4236 Fibonacci, up here at the 10 trillion points, the same people who got in over here in 2021 after this massive impulse up are going to be the same people who get in at the highs, the same people who believe in crypto when you had 3 years to accumulate before the parabolic move. Going to be the same people that get in at the highs and believe at the highs, okay? And we're on this channel. We are going to continue to be bullish as long as Bitcoin stays above the 50 moving average band, which is currently from 81,000 to 84,000. That's our bullish. That's our invalidation. That's when we flip bearish if we get any weekly close below that point. But as long as we stay above on this channel, the higher that we push, okay, especially as this total market cap breaks into new all-time highs, we are going to be the ones that get pessimistic. We are going to be the ones that take profits, and we're going to be the ones that are spreading the word that, hey, now's not the time to flip bullish. You don't want to be bullish when everyone else is bullish, okay? Right now, everyone's not bullish, guys. Right now, we got pessimism. We got fear in the market, okay? No one is looking at crypto. If we look at our crypto apps ranking, Coinbase is currently ranked 384 on the App Store. Not even close to our top 10 top signal point. 384 with Bitcoin at 105,000 and a lot of altcoins already retracing 2x plus off their lows. There is so much room to run, and I really think this blow off top is going to catch a lot of people off guard when it really shouldn't. It's just going to be the typical 4-year cycle where Bitcoin runs at the last 6 months and altcoins run at the last 6 months, and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard as we push up, okay? So everything's going according to plan, guys. A little short-term pullback was probably needed as Bitcoin pretty much went straight up. You know, we're talking Bitcoin going straight up 52% off the lows without any pullbacks on the weekly. I mean, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weekly green candles in a row. We were probably due for a little bit of a pullback, and all in all, even on this 10% pullback on Bitcoin, altcoins, it barely went down. And I think that's a very, very good signal. And especially Ethereum barely went down as Bitcoin pulled back about 10%. You saw Ethereum pull back 14%, which any 10% pullback in the past that Bitcoin went down, you saw Ethereum get absolutely crushed 50%. So good things are happening, guys. I really believe that our thesis is going to play out here. We have in our validation, we're not perma bulls. I will flip a bearish on 2 scenarios: a weekly close below the 50 moving average band on Bitcoin, and us starting to move parabolically above new all-time highs on total market cap. I will be saying I'm slowly starting to take profits. I'm realizing some gains, and I'm going to continue to take profits as we continue to move up and the market becomes more and more bullish. Okay, so everything's going according to plan. Remember our thesis. Don't get caught up in the short-term hoopla jupla. If you got caught up in the short-term hoopla jupla of the tariffs, you got screwed. And I think if you got caught up in the short-term narrative of the Trump versus Elon saga over the last few days, you're going to get fooled again. Do not get fooled by the short-term narratives. Remember the bigger picture here, guys. All right, so it's been your boy Jordan Cameron. I'll catch you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smack that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to kill it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.